Good evening, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Funful Friday. I didn't think I'd be here on time tonight because we were going to be in Boston for the afternoon for an appointment for Bob, and oh my goodness, we were affected by the that global outage. We got a text when we were 40 minutes outside of Boston stating that all appointments were canceled because of that global technology outage. So we turned around and actually were home before 2. So no Boston for us today. Well, tonight I'm here with a new fun fold. Whenever I have a, when I'm looking for something new to do, I know I can always go to Sue Campbell's website and find something cool that she's done that I can case a little bit. And that's what I've done tonight. So I am going to be using one of my favorite suites from the current catalog, the Thoughtful Journey suite. It comes with the Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper, the Thoughtful Designs Specialty Designer Series paper. We're going to be using both of those. This great stamp set, and it also comes with dies to go along with it. And it has some embellishments also, some pearls that go along with the colors of the paper. So tonight we are going to be making a card that is going to look a little bit complicated, and I'm not going to lie, it is a little bit complicated, but if you follow the directions carefully, you won't have a problem at all. So here is the card. It opens up like this, and then you can pull it back to get the inside, but it's called a puzzle slider card, and that's how it stands. So it can stand fine. On the front, I'm using that beautiful, let me see if I can get you to see, it's an ombre, a little effect of that specialty designer series paper. And on the inside, I'm using the designer series paper, which is just so pretty. Has so many great designs. I have been getting ready for a class that I'm having, so I'm not quite sure where I put that package of designer series paper, so I'm not going to show it to you tonight, but it does have some beautiful designs, and it has some beautiful colors it goes through. So let's talk about what we need for this. So I just have a 1/2-inch strip of basic white cardstock. Didn't even cut it. I'm going to be using this for the greeting. To make those pieces on the front of the card, you're going to need 2 pieces that are 1 1/4 inches. You're going to need 2 pieces that are 2 1/4 inch. See where I'm going with this? 2 pieces that are 3 1/4 inch, and then 2 pieces that are 1 by 1, 4 1/4 inch. So they're all 1 inches by 1 1/4, 2 1/4, 3 1/4, and 4 1/4. You're going to need a scrap of white to cut out your die cut image that you want, or whatever your stamped image. For the designer series, the specialty designer series paper, you are going to need a piece that measures 3 inches by 5 inches. We're going to be cutting this, and I'm going to show you how to cut it when we get to that. You're also going to need to choose a piece of designer series paper that you want to go on the inside of the card, and this measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/4. And then finally, you're going to need a piece of a card base, and I'm using basic white thick cardstock, and this measures 4 inches by 9 1/2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some scoring on this, and so I'm going to use my paper cutter to score tonight because we also need to do some cutting. And so I am going to be scoring this at 1 inch and at 2 inches tonight on both ends of the cardstock. So there's our 1 inch mark. Here is our 2 inch. And then I'm going to just flip this over, and I'm going to do the 1 inch and the 2 inch on this side as well. I'm going to try to be very precise in my measurements so that when this folds up, it's going to fold up nicely and correctly, so that's important. Okay. Now for our piece of Specialty Designer Series paper. Again, I said this measures 3 by 5, and I am going to be cutting it into 3 1/4 inch strips by 5. So there's my first, and I'm going to keep these in order because I want my design to match up on the front of my card. It just makes it look kind of cool. So you are going to be able to get, 4 3/4 inch strips. All right, so I have those right to my side. Now I'm going to take the first one and I'm going to cut at 1 inch. That is going to give me a 1 inch piece, and it's going to give me a 4 inch piece. And then I'm going to take the second one and I'm going to cut at 2 inches. And that will give me a 2 inch piece and a 3 inch piece. And then for the next one, I am going to cut at 3 inches, and that will give me a 3 inch piece and a 2 inch piece. And then finally, I'm going to cut the last one at 4 inches. And again, that will give me a 1 inch piece and a 4 inch piece. Okay, and I kept those all in order. So now, let me just move a couple things around. I am going to move these, keeping them in the same order, just so that it will be easier for me to work with them. All right, and if you notice how I cut them is exactly how they're going to go onto the card. So I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 inch, then I have my 4, 3, 2, 1, 4 inch, 3 inches, 2 inches, and 1 inch. So they're going to go on exactly the same way as shown here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to do some adhering of these pieces on those pieces of basic white cardstock that I had pre-cut. So I'm going to do the 1 inch pieces first. Just looks a little crooked, so let me fix that. There we go. Alright, then I'm going to take my 2 inch pieces and attach those. Now with the designer series paper I'm using, there is a pattern, and keeping these lined up with the pattern will look nice on the card, but the pattern is very subtle. So if you were using this kind of designer series paper and you didn't keep them lined up, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. You would notice it probably, but not, you wouldn't notice it. It wouldn't look as bad as you might think, as if it had been something like this. So we have all of these pieces to adhere. Once we do this, the putting together the card will be pretty quick. So this paper is mainly Mossy Meadow, the color. So I'm going to be using Mossy Meadow ink for my stamped images tonight. So as I said when we were getting started, I've been busy getting ready for my class on June 27th. I do have 2 class kits still available. So if you wanted to sign up and you didn't get it done in time, message me or respond under this video and tell me you're interested, and I'll get in touch with you whether you want to do the to-go version or the in-person version. Okay, so let's get our stamping done next. So we'll just push these right back up there. And the first thing I'm going to do is stamp on my Designer Series paper. I love stamping on the Designer Series paper. This is so pretty. I don't want to add more cardstock to have this be covered up anymore, so I'm just going to stamp directly on it. And it says, "You make life better," and it just looks perfect, stamped right up there at the top. And then for our greeting, for the front, I'm going to have "Dearest Friend." And I want to cut this at an angle. So I'm going to, let me just make sure I'm on the right side. I'm going to stamp it in a little bit. I want to be able to use this again, so I'm not going to go in too far. There we go. That looks great. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut at an angle. And then I'm going to take this piece and put it in front of and cut at the same angle. And that way it's perfect. And then I still have all of this that I can use on another card. All right, and this is going to go on dimensionals. So we'll get that done. All right. So let's do some folding. So I'm going to make a Z fold on both sides. So I'm going to fold at the 2-inch mark first. Give it a nice crease. And then I'm going to come back and fold on the 1-inch mark. I want to make sure it's nice and straight and not uneven, because that will really make a difference. Okay, so there's our Z fold on that side. So now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. All right, so that gives you an idea of the base of the card, just like in the other card. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to add some liquid adhesive to both of these flaps. This is where all of these pieces are going to go. And I am going to put these on one at a time. And then I'll add that afterwards. So let me get my liquid glue. So we're going to go with both sides. It's really important that you do both sides together. As we're putting these on, we're going to put the left and the right side on at the same time. and we're going to make sure they're matching up. The first time I made this card, I didn't do that. I put one side on first, then the second side on, and didn't take the time to make sure they were matched up nicely. And the card was not well made at all. So take my word on that. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to go all the way over to the edge. Make sure it's even and straight. And then I'm going to take the long piece and put on, doing the same thing, making sure it's even with the top, even with the edge. And then I'm going to close these pieces and make sure those two pieces match up nicely. And it looks like they do. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, now I'm going to go to my second piece. Again, I'm going to line these up evenly, make sure they're even with the top piece. Add this piece, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure, especially while the glue is still wet, that they are closing okay. It's a little bit over, but that's okay. All right, so now we'll do our third piece. Okay, they're matching up nicely, as you can see. And then we're going to do our last piece. Using the liquid adhesive allows you to move them if you need to make any changes. Like right here, I'm moving this piece to fit in. Okay, so now that looks really nice how it's folded together. So I've got that standing piece. It does fold together. Nothing's crooked or in the way. Okay, so now I can start putting things together on this card. So like I said, the card looks complicated and it's not super easy, but if you take the time to make sure you're putting everything on correctly and that they're matching up, then you're going to find that it goes together quite easily once you're there. So there's our piece in the middle. Here's our front pieces again. Here's a little bit of, there we go. Okay, so next I'm going to add my piece on the front. So that's going to get some glue as well. You know, even if a fun fold is easy, I think when you give it to someone, they always look so cool that people are going to think that, wow, I'm pretty special for someone to put that much time into making a card for me. Okay, so we've got our adhesive on this. So this is going to go right up like this. Just hold it down for a second. It looks so pretty on the front of that, doesn't it? All right, so now let's just add, I'm going to add a piece of ribbon. So this is our white, it comes in a 2-pack with white and petal pink. So I'm using the white, obviously. I like to keep my ribbon on the bolt when I am making bows, so I don't waste as much. I always want to have enough, but I don't want to have too much. So now when I go to cut this, I'm only going to have the waist on that one side. There we go. So we got a perfect little bow to go right down here under at the bottom of the cutout. And I'm going to take my sentiment and I'm going to go right across that up here, and then add the bow with a glue dot. And then, of course, we've got to have some bling. So I'm going to be using the adhesive-backed sparkle gems. And I'm going to use the silver ones because they, I think, are the closest to the white. This package has the goldish, gold, black, and silver. They come in 2 sizes. So I'm going to use the larger one there, and the 2 small ones I'm going to put up here. And there we go, our finished card. And that's it for tonight's Funfold Friday. I hope you've enjoyed this card as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I will be back Sunday night for another edition of Simply Stamping Sunday. And of course, I'll be back next Friday with another Funfold Friday. And that's the night that the Olympics kick off, so that's kind of exciting too. So I hope you have a great weekend. At least in the Northeast, the weather is supposed to, the humidity is supposed to drop. It really dropped today, so that is awesome. So enjoy your weekend, and I hope you join me back here Sunday night or next Friday night. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.